Welcome to Zoe Stories. How modeling a dress turned me into a girl. Daniel, a 22-year-old college student, led a quiet, unassuming life. He was a shy, introverted guy, more comfortable with his nose in a book than out at parties or socializing. To pay for school and rent, Daniel worked part-time at a quirky little vintage clothing store called Timeless Elegance, nestled in a corner of town that seemed frozen in time. The shop was known for its array of retro dresses, hats, and accessories, but despite the uniqueness, business had slowed considerably in recent months. Daniel wasn't particularly interested in fashion. He preferred working in the back of the store, sorting through clothes, organizing shelves, and keeping things tidy. The world of glamorous vintage dresses felt far removed from his own, but that all changed one afternoon when his boss, Vincent, a charismatic former drag queen in his 50s, called him into the office with a proposition that would change everything. Vincent leaned back in his chair, a mischievous glint in his eye. "Daniel, I've got a bit of a favor to ask you. We're doing a special window display this weekend, promoting some of our best vintage dresses. Problem is, our regular model cancelled at the last minute." Daniel nodded, not seeing where this was going. "I can help find someone," he offered, already thinking of a few friends who might be willing to step in. Vincent waved him off. "Actually, I was hoping you could fill in." Daniel froze, his eyebrows shooting up. "Me? In a dress?" Vincent nodded with a smile. "You've got the right look for it. Tall, slender, great bone structure. Trust me, darling, with a bit of makeup and styling, you'll look like a dream." Daniel opened his mouth to protest, but Vincent cut him off. "I know it's not what you signed up for, but I'll pay you extra. We need to stand out this weekend. Business is struggling, and this could help draw in a crowd." Daniel hesitated, unsure. The idea of wearing a dress, let alone modeling it, made him uneasy. But rent was coming up, and the extra pay sounded good. Plus, it was just one day, right? How hard could it be? "All right," Daniel finally said, his voice uncertain, "but just for the extra pay." Vincent clapped his hands together, beaming. "Fabulous. You won't regret it, sweetheart. You're going to look stunning." The day of the window display arrived, and Daniel showed up early, feeling out of his depth. Vincent greeted him with a knowing smile, leading him to the back of the store where a makeup station had been set up alongside racks of vintage dresses. "Let's get you ready," Vincent said, pulling a deep blue satin dress from the rack. It was elegant, with intricate lace details and a flowing skirt. Daniel eyed it nervously. Despite his reluctance, Daniel sat down as Vincent began the transformation. First, there was the makeup, foundation, contouring, eyeshadow, mascara, and a bright red lipstick that made Daniel's face look entirely different. His scruffy hair was styled into soft waves, and by the time Vincent was done, Daniel barely recognized the person staring back at him in the mirror. "You're a natural beauty," Vincent said, grinning. "Wait until we get you into the dress." The blue gown fit Daniel's slender frame perfectly. Vincent cinched the waist and smoothed the fabric before stepping back to admire his work. Daniel stood awkwardly, fidgeting with the hem of the dress, feeling completely out of his element. He wobbled slightly as Vincent handed him a pair of high heels. "Don't worry, darling. I'll teach you how to walk like a queen," Vincent said, laughing. And he did. He taught Daniel how to walk gracefully, how to hold his posture, and even how to give a little smile that would dazzle anyone watching. By the time Daniel stepped out into the store's front window, he had transformed into Daniel, the elegant, mysterious model posing in the window. The moment Daniel stood in the window, passers-by began to take notice. People stopped to admire the display, their eyes drawn to the poised figure in the blue dress, surrounded by other vintage pieces in the backdrop. The transformation had worked. As Daniel exuded a confidence that felt foreign yet exciting. The subtle wave of attention made him feel different, as if stepping into someone else's shoes. Literally, was unlocking a part of himself he hadn't realized existed. Customers streamed into the store, many commenting on how beautiful the model in the window looked. Some even asked to try on the dresses Danielle was wearing. Sales began to pick up, and for the first time in months, timeless elegance was buzzing with energy. By the end of the day, Vincent couldn't have been happier. "You did it, darling. Sales were through the roof today. People loved Danielle. I knew you had it in you." Daniel, exhausted but exhilarated, didn't know how to respond. What was supposed to be a one-off job had stirred something deep within him. As he stood in front of the mirror, still dressed as Danielle, a realization began to take root. He had enjoyed the experience more than he expected, feeling beautiful, admired, and confident. There was something liberating about stepping into a different identity. In the weeks that followed, Vincent asked Danielle to model again, this time for more than just window displays. Danielle became the star of the store's Instagram page, showcasing the best vintage dresses timeless elegance had to offer. Each time, Daniel found himself slipping more easily into the role, feeling less like an imposter and more like he was discovering a new part of himself. With Vincent's guidance, Daniel learned the art of makeup and fashion, transforming into Danielle with increasing ease. Vincent, with his background in drag performance, became more than just a boss. He became a mentor, teaching Daniel not just how to look the part, but how to own it. Danielle's presence in the store became a sensation. Customers would come in asking for her, and sales continued to rise. But it wasn't just about the store's success anymore. Daniel found himself looking forward to the days when he would become Danielle. He began experimenting at home, trying on dresses and wigs, practicing makeup, and even developing a new, more feminine walk. What had started as a job had turned into a journey of self-exploration. Despite the thrill of the transformation, Daniel wrestled with confusion. Who was he now? He had always thought of himself as a quiet, introverted guy, someone who kept to the background. But Danielle was confident, outgoing, and unapologetically bold. The more time he spent as Danielle, the more Daniel felt a sense of peace. Dressing as Danielle wasn't just about clothes or makeup. It was about expressing something deeper, something that had been buried for too long. But this realization scared him too. What did it mean for his identity? Was Danielle just a character, or was she a part of who he really was? Vincent, always perceptive, noticed the conflict brewing within Daniel and invited him out for coffee one afternoon. "You've been quiet lately," Vincent said, sipping his drink. "I can tell there's something on your mind." Daniel hesitated, unsure how to explain what he was feeling. "It's just, I didn't expect this. At first, it was just a job, but now I feel like Danielle is more than just a role I'm playing." Vincent nodded knowingly. "I've seen it before. You start out thinking it's just for fun, but then you realize there's something more to it, something that speaks to who you really are." Daniel looked down at his coffee, the weight of his emotions pressing down on him. "I'm not sure what it means yet, but when I'm Danielle, it feels right." Vincent smiled softly. That's the beauty of self-discovery. You don't have to have all the answers right away. Just give yourself permission to explore. Over the next few months, Daniel continued his journey of self-discovery, experimenting with his gender presentation and embracing the fluidity of his identity. He began integrating elements of Danielle into his everyday life, blurring the lines between who he was and who he could be. There were still moments of doubt and confusion, but with Vincent's support, Daniel learned to embrace both sides of himself, Daniel and Danielle. The transformation had become about more than just wearing dresses or makeup. It was about becoming whole, about accepting every part of who he was. As Daniel stood in front of the mirror one evening, dressed as Danielle, he smiled at his reflection. For the first time, he felt truly at peace with himself, knowing that he didn't have to choose between Daniel and Danielle. Both were equally valid, equally real, and equally beautiful. What started as a simple job had turned into a life-altering journey for Daniel. The transformation into Danielle had opened the door to self-acceptance and personal growth. With Vincent by his side, Daniel learned that embracing his true self in all its complexity was the most empowering thing he could do. For Daniel, the journey was just beginning, but whether he was Daniel or Danielle, he knew that he was finally becoming the person he had always been, confident, free, and authentically himself. Thank you for joining us on another captivating journey through Zoe's stories. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale. Until next time, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep believing in the magic of storytelling. See you in the next chapter.